Hey there. Welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Thanks for being here. Greatly appreciate it. We have a really good one today, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. But before we get into it, uh, some business we got to take care of first. As you know, this program is available wherever you stream your podcast. Just search the Ben Maynard program. Boom, it's right there. Go with it. But do me a favor, subscribe to it. No matter what platform you're using, subscribe to it. Download it also. I'll get into that some other time. Downloads are important. So download it. Leave me a 5-star rating because I deserve it. And yeah, and then there you go. But however, if you can't resist this right here and you're watching on YouTube, thanks again for doing that. But subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. All right. I reply to all of your comments. And then you have to tell 1,000 of your family and friends about this really cool guy. Well, he's okay, but the podcast is better than the host, actually. Let's see. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, all one word, Ben Maynard Program. And where I'm a little more active on the TikTok, and that's the Ben Maynard Program. All right. So plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure. And as I said, we've got a really good one. I've got a couple of guys here that I'm going to bring in just a second. Yeah, you're going to really dig it. You're going to dig the stories, and I can't wait to introduce them to you. So hailing from Charleston, South Carolina, my guests this morning, they pride themselves in their high energy performances featuring lush harmonies, big time guitar solos, and an ability to make the audience emote with each and every lyric. Okay. So you'll know what I'm talking about in just a second here. And it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you Josh, Gale, and there's Sean Monahan. And these guys are from Gale. Thanks, guys, for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, Ben, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks
great
for
to
having
be
us
here.
on.
Now, Josh, you put Joshua on the screen there. So can I call you Josh? I mean, I feel
You
like
can call
we've
me.
been
Yeah,
working together
absolutely.
for a while now, you know?
Yeah. I think all Joshes get used to Joshua, Josh, whatever it may be. But yeah.
All right, cool. Very good. So let's start with this right here. You guys have your music is streaming right now on it's on all the streaming platforms and everything. So people can check out, they can go look up Gale and see what you have there right now. I think you have some singles, you have an EP, and you are going to be dropping your new single next Thursday, right? It's called Roses.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Oh, that's so cool. And I was telling you off camera a little bit. I feel like special. I feel really special because just for you out there, the audience, Josh called me last Tuesday, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to send you a link to this song. It's our new single, and so I want you to check it out." And I was like, okay, great. I feel like the old time radio DJ who gets this premiere of a new song and has to hold on to it, and can't share it with anybody yet, but then, has the opportunity. Okay, yeah, no, now you can play it. Go ahead, and gets to be the first one to premiere. Although we don't play music on this show, unfortunately, so I don't get to do that.
Yeah.
But so tell the audience a little bit about your what genre does Gale fall into, and I'll start it by saying when I would describe that you guys were coming on the podcast, I always said, yeah, I've got this Christian country band coming on the program called Gale. They're out of Charleston, South Carolina, and and I was real happy about that. And then, but when I listen to your music, I'm not getting, and I don't mean this to sound disparaging whatsoever, because we all know that the three of us here, we all know we're of the same faith, but I'm not getting I'm not getting hit with scripture, or I don't feel like I'm listening to a devotional or anything like that. So can you describe what genre you guys are, or what you
Yeah.
guys
I
do?
think, for us, so, we happen to be Christians that are just playing country music. And our sound in that country category is also kind of morphed and become what it is, which would be, I guess, considered alternative country. And So it's that's what we're doing, but we're singing about the things that God cares about.
Right.
And marriage is so near and dear and close to God's heart, and it's something that He wants us to fight for. And there's so much scripture around that. Our goal is and that's all marriages, not just for Christians. And Marriage is that thing too that God uses as a tool to refine your character, and to sanctify you.
Yeah.
If anybody's been married for more than a minute, they realize there's a purifying process that happens when you live with somebody 24/7, 365 days a year. And, you know, even if you're the greatest person at compartmentalizing things, everything starts to begin to touch. Everything starts to begin to do all sorts of different things. And we need encouragement in marriage. We need encouragement in our life, and we need hope. We need these things, and we don't want to necessarily shut the door to the rest of the world, because we're so stuck in this box of, well, that's a Christian band, I'm not going to listen to them.
Yeah.
We're out of this box so that when these people come to a live performance, number one, they're blown away by excellence. It's a rock show. They literally are having every different emotion affect them at the same time. And their adrenaline's pumping, after witnessing a guitar solo or drum solo or, whatever it may be. Um, and they're disarmed. When you have somebody, when you respect somebody and you see them doing something with excellence, you're almost disarmed of, man, I really appreciate them for what they're doing. And so I'll listen to whatever they have to say because my guard's down. And the goal there is that at a performance, your guard's down because you're witnessing something with excellence. You're in a place you kind of feel comfortable in. It's a bar, it's a venue, it's, there's food, there's other people. The lights are low, so I don't feel extremely vulnerable. I kind of feel like I could be unnoticed. But then I feel like those lyrics are resonating with me. I feel like he knows my marriage is tough. He knows that I've already considered leaving 5 times. He knows all these things that he's singing about that are like, is he singing to me right now? Or I witnessed that with my parents' relationship, or I witnessed that, whatever. And then the conversation begins. And our hope is that the conversation doesn't end within the show, that there are conversations that
Yeah.
happen after the performance. There is dialogue that begins to take place, um, to where, people can see, like, the only reason we're still married is because we continually, seek forgiveness and repentance and the sanctification process to become more like Jesus so that we can, love better. People would look at us and see the fruits of the spirit, all these things, and it would be known, by our faith and by our testimony who we are, not just what we say. The venues that we play at, our goal is that they would make the most money they've ever made in a single night, because this group of Christians came in, they put on this excellent performance and they killed it. And we somehow made more money than we have ever made, or we had one of our best nights, or people won't stop talking about it. That shows something for your credibility, your testimony, and then God gets all the glory from all of that. But we would never be able to reach the amount of people that we want to reach, or the type of people that we want to reach, if we sit under this label as Christian country band, or,
Right.
rather than a country band that happened to be a bunch of Christians,
Yeah.
who are just good at saying sorry and good at telling each other, what's really going on under the surface, and that maybe this is worth exploring and repairing so that we can, love each other better and be more like Jesus.
Um, a like we talked about, I love lyrics, and you know, a good song, like you said, it speaks to you. You know, you hear the lyrics, and when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is like going to church on Sunday, and whatever it is, you could have not been in church in 6 months, and the first time you show up, that sermon is speaking right to you. It's like did the pastor write this sermon as, you know, specifically for me?
Yeah.
And that's what a good song will do to you. It'll speak right to you. It kind of like, I'm going to go back a lot of years, like when I was a teenager, and your girlfriend breaks up with you, and the next song that comes on the radio is the saddest song ever. It's like, oh my gosh, this is my life here, that kind of thing too. But I love it, and I like how you're trying to just reach out and not only just touch each one of your each one of the members of the audience, but spread the word too, and spread the word through music. Music is so, it's I don't want to say it's universal. I mean, but it's just a special language, and it you know, for those of us who really love and appreciate music, man, it just kind of hits you right here. So can you add to that, Sean? Look, in all transparency, everyone out there, Sean is like the quiet Beatle. Okay. He is. So
But
but
let's be clear. Galebird does not exist without Sean Monahan.
oh yeah, no,
It is. It is.
I've
He's the
heard.
production. He is the motive, the producing, the instrumentation, the lyricist. You know, we co-write a lot of music. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, it does. This doesn't happen without Sean. It just happens to be that the name's Galebird because I think we just settled.
It worked out
It
well. Yeah,
worked
it's kind
out.
of good.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you want to add to that, Sean?
Man, well, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that is really special that for not just the audience but for us too is like these songs aren't just things we're thinking, what would the audience want to hear? Like these are songs we come into the writing room together and we're just like, this is something I needed to hear for myself. And I think when we write from that place, it's definitely a lot more vulnerable, makes it a little bit more difficult, but it also gives us the opportunity to tap into something I think that the listener knows is authentic. I think the listener is smart enough most times to be able to differentiate when an artist is writing something that they want the listener to hear versus the artist is conveying a message that they're passionate about they're hearing themselves.
Mhm.
And so a lot of these songs, I mean, Josh can confirm that like, most of the times we come to the writing table together, it's one of us with, hey, we've been struggling with this. I need to remind myself that I need to, in the case of Roses, say more things to my wife about the way I feel about her. Or sometimes it's not marriage, it's just a friendship. Like I just need to remember, like, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. If I'm thinking something that I need to say to someone, it could be the last chance I get. And that's heavy, but that's kind of true. You know, it might be the last time. So I don't want to ever live with regrets. So let's write a song about that. And so I think all of our songs have started out with that in mind of like, what do we need to hear ourselves? And then it has worked out well to communicate that then to everybody else.
You know, I want to get into your writing method in just a second here, but that's what I got out of the song Roses. And for the audience out there, you guys will be able to enjoy it beginning next Thursday, right? That's
That's right.
what is next Thursday? That's
23rd.
23rd. Okay. Yeah, the 23rd. You guys will be able to enjoy that. It'll be out on all the streaming services. Wherever you get your music, it'll be there. The song is Roses. The band is Galebird. But that's what I got. That was kind of the message I got from Roses was like, don't hold on to this now and wait, you know, because there's only so much time. And when there's no more time, when that whatever happens, you know, when death happens, that's it. We're done. There's no more time. So get everything out that you want to say, that you want to do to your wife, to your husband, to your loved ones, so that you're not carrying those roses to your funeral. You're spreading those roses now throughout your life. Am I kind of sort of on the right track?
Or to their funeral. You know,
Okay.
you wish you
Okay.
would have said these things while they were still alive.
Yeah.
There's, you know, as far as like the context of like scripture, things like that.
Yeah.
Solomon says that, you know, that we're here, like life's a vapor. Sean's one of his majors. He had a couple majors. One of them's math. If Solomon was speaking to a person in math language, we're here for zero compared to eternity, because anything divided by eternity is zero.
Right.
We're not here very long at all compared to eternity. So without an eternal mindset, you can go through this life so unintentional, realizing that you're not guaranteed tomorrow and that we're not here very long at all. We're all thinking, how much can we put away for retirement, when eternity is right on the other side? And it's like, no, what can I put away for eternity?
Yeah.
Right. And so when the song is like, quit holding back with like if God's blessed you so much and he tells you so much how much he loves you, and if you're in tune with that, you won't hold that back from anybody. And a lot of people are waiting for this Oscar moment. Oh, it was the right time to say the right thing to this person. And they're waiting for like a movie Oscar moment.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're so emotionally driven, instead of it being just intentional to be intentional. When you're emotionally driven, you know, I could ask you, you know, Sean, this question, like, you know, do you need to feel a certain way to tell your kids how much you love them and that you are so happy that they're your child and that you know, all these things? No, they're your child. They literally, when they first come out, all they know how to do is cry, eat, and poop and pee. Like, that's all they can do. They can't earn your affection in any way possible, but somehow you're filled with so much love for them, and you just tell them how much you love them and that life would never be the same again. And you couldn't imagine life without them. But why, when it's our spouse, do we have to feel so emotionally motivated to tell them something? What is the root of that? Why is it that, well, they've hurt me before, or if I compliment them too much, then they might realize how wonderful they are and they might not want to be with me? You know, like, what is the root? And Roses is saying, hey, get over yourself and get over these little small foxes that are spoiling the vine, and tell your wife everything that you're supposed to tell her. God, you know, God gave you this woman to steward, or God gave you this husband to serve and to love and to partner with. Tell them every chance you get how awesome you think they are and how incredible. You're so thankful that God put you together, and tell them how much you love them, you know, and like, get past whatever this thing is. But it takes intentionality, not just following our emotions, but intentionality to say these things and figure out, why the heck am I not saying these things today? Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you this, and I want you to add to it, Sean. I'm getting you into this. Okay?
I love it. Thank you.
All right. We as men, and we got 3 guys here. First off, we're all just broken people. And for guys, I think especially, and I can only speak as a guy because I've never been a woman. So
You have to say that in California.
Yeah, we do. Pretty much everywhere, but maybe not Charleston, South Carolina.
No, you still do. You still do.
But you know, we just, you know, we want to be big, we want to be tough, we want to be strong, and we do let our pride get in the way of so many things, especially when it comes to relationships with our wives. And you know, it can be over just the silliest things. And it's still hard, even as Christian men. It's still hard. And it's probably, honestly, I believe it's even harder living a Christian life than it is living a non-Christian, or just, being a part of the secular world and not recognizing God in your life. I believe it's even harder, and as it probably should be. But when you recognize that, then you're able to get through the obstacles that are thrown in your way. And pride is certainly one of those. And it's probably the hardest one for us as men to just get past, no matter whatever the silliest thing that might be said or done to us. It kind of gets us right there, and we can't get over it until someone comes, with their tail between their legs to apologize for offending us, or something along those lines. And even though it's hard to just say, you know what, forget all that. I'm setting that aside. Forget my pride. And I'm just going to love that person. I'm going to love my wife anyway, and I'm going to go tell her first before before she comes to me. It's not about being the bigger man. It's just about being a man. So, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, so writing process, when it comes to your music, do you guys have a certain process, throughout history? Some of the greatest and most recognizable and most iconic songs in music history were written in 15 minutes on the back of a bar napkin or something along those lines, and then artists will say, I've been tortured by this song forever and ever. It took me 5 years to write this song. I couldn't get it right. And so what's your process? Do you have many processes, or is it just one kind of process?
Yeah, I think you can't limit it to just one. At least our experience has been that we have songs. Roses was one that came relatively easy. That was, instead of a napkin for us, it was a whiteboard in Josh's office. We were just thinking about this idea, and this was a year ago. We wrote this. We scribbled it down, and he started off with, Sean, just play something that's like a really good musical hook on the guitar, and then he starts singing around it. And we kind of already had the theme in mind, but we built it all around that intro acoustic guitar idea, and it blossomed very quickly. But we have other songs that we've been working on for a couple of years and still haven't finished. We had the advantage. We're very grateful. We were signed last year with a local label. Holy City Music signed us,
Awesome.
and they have been incredible. Just been so good working with them. But one of their requirements was, you guys need to write 20 songs in the next 6 months. And so we were kind of right away put to the fire. We got to get this done. And so with some of the songs, it's we don't have time to wait for this to be perfect. We have to, craft something that we're 99% okay with. And maybe in the future we can come back and look at it, but we got to push through. So we've had to work through some of that. Typically, I think our writing process, though, is either Josh or I. Usually it's Josh. Will have a starting reference point, some idea, and then we'll sit down and start crafting it. It's either the three of us, Josh, myself, and Melissa, or we've had a couple other writers that we've brought in on some of these songs, and we'll start just kind of puzzle piecing it together. And we've been very fortunate. We have a great friendship, and we work really well together. You mentioned pride being difficult, and that's definitely the case. I guess fortunately for us, we've both had enough tough situations in our life to kind of break us of some of that we can work together and hear each other's ideas well. And if something comes up, we talk through it, and we address the conflict, and we're forced to face it. So we have a good dynamic, and it's been just such a pleasure writing with this group. But yeah, every song's a little different.
Yeah. So how long, first off, how long have you and Josh known each other?
Oh, we go way back. So we went to college in similar, two different colleges in the city of Charleston, but we worked together. We were both a part of a Christian organization that would meet up sometimes. And so got to know him in college. And then toward the end of our college years, Josh started this band that would eventually evolve into Galebird. And so I started playing with him toward the end of that. And we just had a great time, both with the ministry stuff and then playing music, and kept a friendship. And then kind of stopped playing music for about 15 years. We got busy. He has 4 kids. I have 2. we got married, and just had to kind of put some of that on pause for a minute. But then he reached out to me almost 2 years ago, and I was in the middle of a job transfer. I was leaving a situation and then going freelance. And so I was going to have a little bit more time, and he just happened to reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm ready to start this again if you are."
All right.
And timing couldn't have been any better. And so we've been just running ever since.
So let me ask you this, because I'm just trying to kind of put the timeline together a little bit. How old are you guys?
I'm 37. And Sean, you're what?
I'm 35.
35.
Oh my goodness! I told you guys. I told you I'm old enough to be your dad. So that's absolute truth. I love it though. I love it that now. Are you guys able to do this full time, or you got to keep jobs on the side of music?
So we have something pretty rare that's pretty cool. Right around that same time, Sean transitioning away from another position, I felt like God was leading me to begin to bolster and go more. I've been my wife stays home, so I've always had a second job, having a marketing company.
Okay.
So web design, graphic design, PR, just all sorts of different stuff that I've been doing on the side. But I've never really poured gasoline on it, and I just, for the fear of if it takes off, I couldn't handle it. And Sean is so incredibly talented and teachable. I said, "Hey, can I teach you everything I know about web design and just all these different things about marketing and how the internet works and search engines and all that kind of stuff?" And he was up to speed really, really quickly, and is still learning new things every day. So we actually, the way our week works is it's pretty rare and pretty crazy. But every morning we meet at the gym around 6:30, and we lift weights and play soccer. We have an indoor soccer gym at this place, and kind of it checks a box for us of, like, the healthy box plus the competition, the fun, first thing in the morning, and then go our separate ways. But while we're lifting weights, we kind of talk about what's on the docket for the day as far as who needs to be taken care of. One thing we do, we're running a campaign for Cheon, who is a candidate for governor in California. Incredible man. I think he's about to turn 70 years old or some, and he's just a very wise, incredible man. We met him, and doing the PR that we do, he had interviewed several firms and was like, "But nobody's doing what you're doing. Nobody had the answers you have, all these things." So it's funny, East Coast is helping West Coast, and we're a couple hours apart, which sometimes, makes us work a little bit later, but we do that. We've got so many different types of clients and customers, but it allows us to do it remotely so that we still have the flexibility to do music and to be in the studio, things like that. And then I also work about 2 or 3 days a week as a private jeweler. So I design and build, custom engagement rings and earrings and necklaces, things like that. So get to use all of its creativity. And so anytime I get to be creative and use those gifts, it makes me pretty excited. It doesn't feel as much like work.
So you're making friends with the ladies and breaking the guys' banks.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then Sean, he's producing lots of different groups, as far as, like, I think last week he was recording and producing a jazz group. And so he's able to be, as a session musician, as a producer, all that kind of stuff all feeds into that and our ability to be flexible.
Yeah, I'm actually out in Houston right now working on some studio work and playing a couple
You
gigs. So
are.
we stay
Wow.
busy. Yeah,
Wow, that's great. That's great. So we're in 3 different
we
locations.
are 3 different
That's
time zones.
awesome. That is awesome. Who you working with right now?
Oh, I've got a friend out here. His name is Robbie Madison. He's got
Okay.
a nonprofit called Madison Arts, and they put on all sorts of incredible events, developing young artists, and it's just a really cool thing he's got going here. So, helping him out, and then in the studio a good bit.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. It just, when you instead of me going on, let's just do this then. Um, where is it? Where is it? Okay. Let's talk about your musical influences, each of you. I want you to get into some of the musicians or bands that have been influential to you throughout your entire, like your musical journey here.
I'll go. I have a very interesting start. So I grew up playing a lot in church. So there was a guitar player. His name was Lincoln Brewster, just
Oh, I
a
know
strat
Lincoln
shredder.
Brewster.
He
Link,
is, oh my goodness,
I don't mean
just
to
something
cut you
else.
out. Lincoln
Oh,
Brewster is absolutely a phenomenal player.
yeah.
I
So
saw him. I
oh,
I saw him. Okay, all right. Stop. Time out. Um, Back in 1994. So I mean, you guys are wee little lads. 1994. He was playing in Steve Perry's solo band when Steve Perry was touring his second solo album for the Love of Strange Medicine,
mm,
and Lincoln Brewster was, I think he was like 20 years old at the time. And man, he was just tearing it up.
mhm.
And I do remember hearing a short while after that he actually was uh, I don't know, he was in the Christian genre
Mhm.
as far as music and all that. Oh man, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff in his,
Yeah.
I guess, later years with worship stuff. But for me, growing up, it was great to have a guitar player that was in the worship scene that didn't sound like the Edge. Like I love you two, love the Edge, but that was the direction every worship band was playing. And so
Oh,
then to
okay.
hear someone that was shredding in a very tasteful and musical way,
Yeah.
oh man, it was incredible. So I studied everything he ever did, and then at the same time, I loved the band Queen. And so I had their
Who
Live at
doesn't,
Wembley
right? You know?
DVD. Yeah, I would study that thing. My parents loved classic rock, so we had DVDs of the Eagles and Led Zeppelin. So I grew up on a lot of that stuff. Then I studied I studied jazz in college. So I kind of got immersed into a lot of the old jazz players,
Okay.
and I've had so many incredible opportunities since then to play just about every genre. So coming into the country band, that was something kind of unique. I didn't grow up listening to country, so I've
Mhm.
had to do some studying since then. I studied a lot of played some hip hop and R&B gigs for a long time. Actually, last night we had a hip hop party band thing I was jamming with, and so I know a lot of the standards now, and there are elements of every genre
Yeah.
that I can learn from and I can bring into my production toolbox and add into these songs we're doing, and still keep it within the lane of country rock. And I just love that.
That's great. That's great. And what about you, Josh?
Yeah, from probably an early age, just drawn to a certain sound. And at first, it was you know when I was young, ripping music off Napster and all these things, ripping music off the stealing from artists was the thing. And so I remember like first thing I ever did was, my mom and I, when we first moved to Texas, um, it was too late to enroll in preschool. And so I rode around all of Dallas with her, listening to two cassette tapes. The first one being Amy Grant, the second one being Whitney Houston, and learning to sing by just belting out. And as a child, as a um, young child, you can hit some ranges that you're not going to be able to hit when you get older. But I'm
Yeah.
learning,
Yeah.
I'm learning some things, and I'm singing these songs, and my mom's realizing this child loves to sing. He loves to sing, and I would never stop singing. I literally wanted to sing everything all the time. The only one in my family, nobody else was musical in my family, but I was singing all the time. And then through Napster and all that stuff, I began to get introduced to the classic rock that my dad wanted to put on some discs to show us, what classic rock he grew up with. And I'm
Right.
listening to these bands like the Eagles. If the Eagles came out today, they're in the country genre, especially
I
early
agree.
Eagles.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the members being from Texas, and I'm growing up in Dallas, Texas, so lots of country influence there, and listening to the country radio. First concert was Alan Jackson. Second concert was John Mayer, opened for by the Counting Crows.
Okay.
In Dallas, you get every major artist coming through, but I had the Smirnoff Center right there, and just got introduced to so much live music, and the live music was really what drew me in. And so I'm listening to Leonard Skinner on repeat. I'm listening to the Eagles. I'm listening to these bands that would be country music
Yeah.
in 2025. And I'm in love with this genre. I've got a Tim McGraw album that comes out that is just lyrically making me feel things emotionally as a middle schooler that I probably didn't even understand, completely, but I felt something.
Yeah.
And songs like Red Rag Top, and and then in college, I hear this band come on the radio, and it's a song called "Washed by the Water," and there's this band called Need to Breathe, and I'm like, okay, and they're from South Carolina, okay. And I hear this song, and I start going on the internet. I'm looking on the internet for a black man with this gospel rock sound, and I can't find them anywhere. All I see is this group that look like a bunch of skinny hippies, and is this band called Need to Breathe. So then I look on their website, and they've got small venue shows, the Music Farm in Charleston, and some different places in like Greenville and Columbia. So I figure out where they're going to be next. I go and see this rock concert at the Music Farm, and my mind is going in 1,000 different directions. This is what I want to do. I can do this. I can put a band together, and I can perform like this, and I can put on not just a performance like of reciting music,
Yeah.
but a rock show. Where people are just ecstatic. There's so much energy in the room that if you could bottle that up, it would sell for $1 million a bottle. And I wanted to do that, and so I ended up putting a band together, and we got an opportunity to record some music, but then life got in the way, and the other things were probably a little bit more important, like marriage and family, and but
That's why
that
we're here.
yeah, but then that drive never went away. That desire I couldn't put the flame out. And so that's when I called Sean up again after 15 years and said, dude, can we just give this another shot? I got some extra money in the bank. Like,
Yeah.
let's start trying to record some songs. And then we get the attention of a label and we get something going on. And then I'd say the most latest musical influence, I've got some friends that write for North Palm Worship. And they're literally getting together and writing hundreds of songs with busy lives. And so I'm like, man, if they can write hundreds of songs and then they're saying, hey, here's all these songwriting trips, and here, come to this and just be inspired to write and write and write, which is the difference between a good band and a great band. Is a great band never stops writing songs. You're going to write 1,000 crappy songs to find the one good song. And it just encourages me constantly to go into the writing room and to try to continue to keep writing and just pick up the guitar and just go and see what comes out. And I've learned a lot from them, and so that's been pretty awesome recently.
You said something really. I think it's really important, and that was about continuing to write. And look, I'm 60 years old, okay, and so I feel like my generation was right in the wheelhouse of music. Period. We're in the wheelhouse of a lot of stuff, but look, we're gonna just keep this to music right now. I being born in 1965, I'm a little too young, obviously, even by 1970 to thoroughly grasp the British invasion with the Who and the Stones and the Beatles and all those great bands. But as I'm getting older and starting to get into music and really where it's grabbing a hold of me, then then I start discovering them. But then you get bands like Kiss and Journey and Queen and Foreigner and all these other bands in the late 70s into the early 80s. And I love all those bands. I do. I love all those bands. That's like to make me try to sound a little young and a little hip. That's like my jam. Okay. And so
don't forget Rod Stewart.
Oh, I love Rod Stewart. Absolutely phenomenal performer.
Yes.
But a lot of the not a lot, not all, but a lot of the bands that I grew up listening to stopped writing and recording new music years ago. And some of them are still out touring to this day, whether they're all original, one original member, no original members, whatever it is, they're still doing it to this day, but they're only living off the catalog, and their legacy instead of continuing to write and record new music. And for some bands, and you brought it up, you said it yourself, it's like, you have to do it. This is what I do. I write songs, I write music. And even though, and especially for big acts, look, let's not fool ourselves. Nobody buys music these days. Okay. It's all just about getting your stuff out there and getting it exposure, getting eyes and ears on it, and maybe drawing that person in to come see you play live. And then you can really show them what it's all about. And to me, there's something to be said about a live show, watching that band that you like play live, play that stuff that you enjoy listening to in the car, at home, wherever, and they're on fire, and you feel that energy. So I think that live performances are just so paramount, and I love it. I like the fact that you guys just feel like you have to write music.
Yeah, it's therapeutic for me too.
Yeah.
I got to figure out, how to get over myself, and then figure out how to tell others how they can get over themselves as well. And I think sometimes, usually, if God's trying to tell me something, I bet I could save somebody else a lot of hurt and a lot of time and grief if I could just tell them what I figured out here in the last couple weeks or whatever it may be. Yeah, we have to write, and then Sean, but we have to be very intentional. Sean and I have to put it in the calendar, or it won't happen.
So before we move on any further regarding music or whatever, and really, I have no direction for where our conversation is going. I'm thoroughly enjoying this, though. Tell us a little bit about each one of you guys. I want you to tell us a little bit about, like, your family and your faith and that kind of stuff, and just to open yourselves up a little bit so we get to know a little bit about Sean and Josh.
Yeah. So I got married in 2012. So right out of college. So we've been married, what's that, 13 years now.
You better get it right.
Yeah. She forgets too, so it's okay. We're both the type of people that if you don't remember our birthday day, but you remember the week, we have some grace.
You get close, huh?
Yeah, just get close and you're good. So we got married, and we have 2 children, 2 boys. They are 7 and almost 9. And man, it's been incredible. But both of us grew up in church. I grew up with my parents.
That is great.
Going to I started at an Episcopal church and then ended up at a non-denominational. And I've played in a lot of different I was about to say genres of churches, denominations. So I've experienced a lot of different sides of the church and of Christian faith, and just have a lot of respect. I think it's helped me. I have a lot of friends that it's easy for them to get sucked into like a narrow perspective of what the church is supposed to look like. And I think having all those opportunities was helpful for me to see, like, there's a lot of really authentic Christians that love Jesus with all their heart, that it looks different for a lot of people. And so the way that I see my local community looking, and the style of music we play, and the way the service is going, it doesn't have to be that way. Obviously, I think we do have biblical standards for certain things, but a lot of the things that separate us, I think, aren't as big a deal as we make it. So I think that we come from maybe that's, I would consider it humility. I might find out we were wrong one day, but I think that helps, and it's afforded us the opportunity to have really close relationships with a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, and we're very grateful for the group of friends and family that we have that we get to do life with. So we're trying to figure out what it looks like for us to have something we're passionate about, like Galebird, continuing to make music, continue to help people come to know Jesus, whether that's through just our lives, our relationships, or through the music. But then also, we're, like Josh said, we're navigating. We got to still pay bills, and until Galebird becomes that, what does that look like? And so yeah, it's been awesome. But that's kind of our background.
So until you start filling stadiums like George Strait, then you're gonna continue to do your web work and all that stuff on the side.
And the beautiful thing, I think Josh would agree, like we would love to do that, but we don't need it. Like it's not a thing that we just have to have in our lives. We're both very satisfied with what the Lord's put in our in front of us, and if
awesome.
That's the way it goes, we're going to do our best to steward it well, and we're excited. If it's not, we get to do music, and what a blessing. It's awesome.
Josh, what say you?
Yeah. And to tag on what Sean just said there, we say it often, we're already known by the one who created us. We're already seen and we're already heard by our Father in heaven. That'll always be enough, And so for me, I grew up in Plano, Texas, most of my life, right north of Dallas, and in and out of church, but kind of you don't realize it till you get older in life, kind of how much different your upbringing was compared to other families, or what you come to learn. And so it was just there was a lot going on that I still reflect on. I still include into music. I still write about, and then ask my wife to give me patience, because I'm kind of shooting from the hip most of the time on what it looks like to be a husband and a father, without that exposure, as a younger child. And I met Sean's family. I'm so encouraged by his parents, just awesome people. And I always encourage, remind Sean how blessed he was to be born into that family. But that doesn't mean that I get to sit here and cry and why did God give me an alcoholic, and why did that happen to my mom, and why did this happen to my brothers? And I don't get to sit there and soak and weep in it. I can reflect on it and all those things, but no, I can write about it and help others who were raised in the same kind of situation to say, listen, that can end right here, this generation, and you can be sanctified to become something where nobody else recognizes you from your past. None of your friends would recognize you, not that, you're half the man or anything like that, but you're so full of the fruits of the Spirit, and you're just so kind and wonderful and loving and like Jesus, that they're just blown away, because they also saw probably more than you what your situation looked like growing up. And so in and out of church, I would consider my family like Creasters, Christmas and Easter. And then if it was anywhere in between that, where my parents were feeling a little bit more convicted, mostly my dad feeling more convicted, or trying to get his life together, we'd be in church a little bit more. but it would be cursing the whole way there and then passing notes of where we're going to eat after church. Was it Fuddruckers or Ming Garden or a Mexican restaurant or CC's Pizza? Like where was it going to be during church was like the biggest pass, and it was like taking the offering envelope and destroying it and passing notes on it, um, and and then getting out of there, but actually leaving during the altar call so that we could get out of the traffic.
And if you left during the altar call, you might feel a little less guilty too, right?
Exactly. And so, but I was about 10 years old when I heard the gospel for the first time, like really understood and comprehended the gospel. Um, I was in and out of like some camps and Awanas and things like that when I was younger, but if nobody was feeding you any scripture at home, I felt so behind. And I kind of couldn't stand going to these VBS and these things because I'm competitive and I don't like to be ill-equipped. And so I would avoid it. I would not want to go. I did not enjoy reading, so I wasn't going to be able to do it myself. And so I would avoid church like the plague as much as I could as a child. But at 10 years old, I heard this Pastor James Moody, who was a interim pastor at the Heights Church in Richardson, Texas. He presented the gospel in such an incredible way that I understood it as a 10-year-old, to where it drove me that if you were between me and the altar to give my life to Jesus, like you would have gotten pummeled, like I was getting there and my family's like, where's he going?
Yeah.
Well, my two older brothers weren't going to let me show them up, and they followed me right out into the aisle to pray with another pastor in the kind of the wings of the church.
Yeah.
And I prayed and I gave my life to Jesus. And I wish I could say like it was like from there, it was like this straight up trajectory, but it wasn't. It was I got into a lot of sin and got into a lot of friendships and relationships that it made me pay more and stay longer than I ever wanted to. And wasn't until I got to college and began to be discipled by an older gentleman through a college ministry. I was playing football here in Charleston, and this guy was like, "Hey, let me tell you about Jesus." And I said, I don't know if it's completely for me because I don't love him like you guys say you're in love with him. He said, "Well, did anybody ever show you how to fall in love?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "You fall in love by spending time with somebody and you get to know them. And I'm going to tell you about my Jesus. He's irresistible. If you spend any amount of time with him, you're going to realize you want more and more and more and more of him, and you'll never get enough of him because there's more of him to consume than you could ever see." He said, "I want you to taste and see that the Lord is good. Let me show you how to spend time with him. Let me show you who he is." And that part was so instrumental for me that changed the trajectory of my life. That was the moment uh, that I really got lit on fire with the Lord. And that was the moment that I'm also in college and I'm wanting to play music, but I'm also playing football. So I kind of left football behind to pursue music, and the rest is history. But it was that one person saying, like, I think I can understand where you're at on the spiritual map, and I think I can get you to the treasure if you just give me a minute. And so that's where I'm at, and that's where I've been headed ever since.
That's great. It sounds like besides the fact that you were exposed to some great music growing up, that you and I share similar upbringings where there was a lot of turmoil or drama within our family dynamic, and I had a lot of that growing up myself. It doesn't have to define who we are. It only defines who we become, who we are, and who we become if we allow it to. You touched on a little bit. Look, God knows us to be a little tiny crass from the time we were an itch in our daddy's pants. Okay, so he knows us from all the way back then, and he knows our path. He knows every day, every step of the way, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we don't, and so he knows what's going to help define us, and we don't have to do that. We just use that as a tool to to build us into the men that we become when you're grounded in your faith. And I was a lot like you, as a teenager in high school. I mean, from a very, very young age. And I'm not going to bore my audience with this because I have touched on this a lot, and I don't need to. They're going to feel like they're watching reruns of this podcast or something. But from a very young age, I had this strong belief in God, and I knew good and evil. But it wasn't. I mean, I went to the kid across the street invited me to go to Sunday school, and I think I was in 6th or 7th or 8th grade, somewhere around there. The bus would come pick us up and take us to Sunday school, and I'd be with the kids of my own age and hang out, had a good time, learn a little bit about Christ and that kind of stuff. But didn't really take it in, didn't understand it. Thought, okay, this is good here. But in high school, I had a kid named Gary Malone. Hey, you want to go Bible study with me sometime? It's like, now they just call like youth group or whatever it is, but it was a Bible study group for high schoolers. And I thought, well, yeah, sure, why not? Did that, and I probably went through, I think, my high school years one night a week. And so I was doing that and accepted Christ, but wasn't living the Christ-like life. And I think it's just because you don't have a clear understanding. If you're not sitting in church practicing your faith on a weekly basis, it's hard to have a grasp of what all that really means. And it's hard for you as a Christian man, whether it's as a single guy when you're younger, or as a husband and a father as you get older and you're raising a family. We are called to not just exist on this planet, but to be married, to find that mate, to be as one. We are called to procreate. And I'm so happy to hear you've got 4, Josh, and you've got 2, Sean. And I think that's so great. I mean, just have kids, have lots of kids. That's, if I have one regret, is that I don't have enough kids. And then to be that spiritual rock, the spiritual leader in our families, not just the ones that reside in the same house as us, but our families as a whole. And then that spreads to your community, to your church, and to be those leaders, and to, I always say, I try to lead by example. I'm so far from perfect, but I want to be the best example to my family, to my wife, to my kids, to, my in-laws, everyone. I just want to be that best example, so that someday they might say, "Hey, Ben, you look like you got it pretty good. You look like you got it all together. I want a little bit of something of what you have. Can you share it with me?"
Yeah. I think we were made to be set apart. We weren't made to look like the world. We weren't made to, and it does, when we do look like we have it together, they're going to ask questions, because everybody wants that, some of that, right? It's not that we don't have everything together. We're hanging on by the seat of our pants, but we have Jesus that is bringing us, everything that we need, to where, when it's coming from, the source of everything is coming from him, then the things look like they're in alignment. When we're in alignment, that's what people really want. And that's every single part of our lives. And like you said, it's like, I'm trying to do the very best for my children and not screw them up. And, and I'm trying to think of the things that they will remember. I don't think they're going to remember how long it took me to write a song, or how much money I made in 2025. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember the time we spent together. They're going to remember I coach all their sports. They're going to remember, and they remember that the most. Dad, remember when you took us all the way, we won first place. You took us all the way. But remember when, this kid's dad died, and, you stepped up and you did this and you did that. My kids, they talk about that stuff all the time. And remember when I always loved, Dad, when you gave out medals. And so this is me as an evangelist. It's not just the music, it's every part of my life. If you didn't step up to coach and I'm coaching your kids, I'm their coach, and so I do the recreation sports, and every time I give out a trophy or a medal, I prophesy over a child. I say, listen, God gave you this incredible strength. Your superpower that God put within you is to lead with vocally. I said, you are such an incredible vocal leader, and you can either change a room this way or you can change a room a terrible way with what the words that you share, and everyone's going to hang on to your words. You need to learn to control your tongue, but God gave you a superpower to use that, and you're going to lead so many people vocally, and God's given you that gift. And I've gotten, and every single child I give a different strength and prophesy into their future and kind of tell them which trajectory they can take based on how they use that gift God gave them. And I have kids to this day, and I've been doing this for 7 years. Kids to this day come up and say, hey, remember, Coach, when you told me this? Because I'm not their dad, I'm not their mom, I'm this guy that they want to impress, this guy that like can make them or break, whatever it may be, that they want to impress their coach. And he's not around them all the time, and he's not hurt them, whatever it may be. And I'll have kids come up, Coach, remember when you told me this? Or their parents will come up and say, my son still talks about his superpower. He still talks about how he's got a gift. He still talks about this. That really changed something in my son. And they just don't, and they have to give God the credit, because you can't know me for more than 2 seconds and not know that Jesus is my everything. And that I'll pray with your kids and all these kind of things. And, and that's just the way it is. And so that's where I'm at, I think the things that my kids will remember. That's where I'm trying to figure out with how I spend my time and how I interact with them and how I have to compartmentalize. I got to leave work at work. I got to leave,
Yeah.
XYZ, and show up
Yeah.
and kind of change hats as quickly as I can. So it's coming back full circle. It's all about intentionality. I have the things I got to tell myself before I walk in the door of who I'm going to show up as right now. And I tell myself XYZ, it's the intentionality of like, all right, we're about to come in here and be intentional by doing this. Our focus is going to shift over to doing this. And creatives have to hear that. If you're out there and you're creative, you love using this part of your brain, but you hate using this part of your brain over here. And as creatives, we have to be able to like put the gear in a different gear to be able to shift to be who God's called us to be. And not just a floating free spirit all the time that just does whatever we feel. We have to be intentional and do what and imitate Jesus. And so that's creatives. I think they could hear that more often is be more intentional with your time, and which means you got to schedule some stuff.
Sean, you muted your microphone. I'm not sure if you're aware.
I sure did. The horn players are here at the studio, and they started warming up. So I didn't want it to interrupt.
I don't mind a little background music.
Yeah. Well,
I
right
don't.
in the middle of your story, and I didn't want to.
No, I through the service I use, I can't play any music that's I have to deal with publishing and all that kind of thing, or copyrighted stuff. But it's so funny. I had one guest on a few months ago, and we were talking about music, and we were she was talking about a playlist that she had on her phone. And she says she's running down some songs, and she was mentioned a couple of Bill Withers tunes, and there was one that I wasn't familiar with. Oh no, you got to look! And she held it up to her microphone, and sure enough, it recorded. I'm like, wait a minute, I can. I mean, once I went back and listened to it, I'm like, wow, I actually heard the whole song. Because if I were to take my phone and play music into the microphone, and it's like copyrighted stuff, it immediately mutes the music. Mm-hmm. So it was crazy. Oh, yeah. So hey, you want to bring the horn players in? Bring them in. I'm all for that. It's all good stuff, man.
That's awesome.
So, what are some of? Well, I don't say what, but are there a list of any artists, one artist or multiple artists that you guys would like to either work with or even share the stage with.
Who was the one that was coming that you reached out to, Josh, to Charleston? It was a country artist. I forget. There have been a couple we've discussed.
Yeah.
No one in particular, though.
Okay. I like a lot of different genres of music myself. Growing up when I did, and my parents would listen to a lot of country music. My dad he liked Nat King Cole and Jim Reeves, these crooners, and so I would listen to a lot of that stuff. And so I really enjoyed it a lot. And then, as you get older, you start to branch out and you start to feel your way through things and what grabs a hold of you. And I like a lot of different genres. I love country music. I love my rock and roll. I say I'm like a hard rock guy to my core. Something about crunchy guitars and that kind of stuff, and great soaring vocals. My favorite singer of all time is Steve Perry. And so just that kind of stuff. But growing up, and I say like my kind of formative years or teenage years, and there was a lot of new wave and dance music, and I love disco too. Love disco. But for me, like, what I like about your sound is I'm not a great fan of what I consider to be modern country. I don't like hip hop with a twang. Okay.
I'm with you on that one.
It absolutely does nothing for me at all. Does nothing for me. Give me Dolly Parton, give me Kenny Rogers, give me George Strait, Ronnie Millsap, those guys there. I'll even go a little more current. I just saw a few months back, I saw Brooks and Dunn, and I always have known who Brooks and Dunn are. I saw them for the first time live a few months back, and man, they just punched me right in the chest there. They were so good, such a great show, such just a great catalog. And so that's where I come from on the countryside. And when I listen to Gale Bird, I get that feeling.
That's awesome.
I was listening to. It's so weird. I was if I look you up on iTunes on my iPad versus my cell phone, I get a different list of songs. I get all your stuff on my iPad. I don't get all of it on my cell phone. I don't understand why. It's the same iTunes account, but I don't know. So, but I was, just listening to it. I'm going, yeah, these guys, this is like my country music, and there's a couple of artists that I really like. They're, they're pretty young guys. And you may have heard of them. They're not big time at all. And I would love so much for them to be on the program here, just not only to be able to talk to them, but get some exposure as well. One guy, his name is Heath Sanders. Don't know if you're aware of that name. Guy's just a good old boy from like Alabama, worked the oil fields with his old man and stuff like that. And I just like the message he puts in his music, the sound. It's just that good old country music. And another one is Austin Moody. Same type of thing, and I like that stuff. And you guys are right there. And I dig it. So
thank you. That's awesome.
No, thanks for that. So nobody that you really kind of just, hey man, let's, we need to get on a bill with these guys.
We do enjoy some Chris Stapleton. So,
okay.
Yeah. It's really what's difficult, Ben, is where we live. It's there are bands that come through town for most of the venues that are like Grateful Dead covers or some reggae, just things that people can kind of intoxicate themselves with more, that kind of goes with what they're putting in their bodies, kind of thing. And
yeah,
that's what a lot of the venues are like looking at, or they're larger venues that if you're not on a with a touring manager and you're not in that being booked by a group, like good luck. They're in South Carolina, the way something happened with politics, a lot of venues shut down. They did this liability where the venue or the bar would be liable if somebody was 100% liable, even if they had one drink at your venue and five at another, you're just as 100% liable. And so, insurance to have a bar and a venue went up through the roof if you sell alcohol. Um, to where a lot of these places said, "Hey, we don't make enough money to even pay for this insurance
Yeah.
to even operate." So then you shut down a lot of venues throughout South Carolina because they couldn't. They were operating because they loved music and they were breaking even, and which is it's hard. Like this is a business at the end of the day, and it's a tough business unless you have an audience that's humongous.
Yeah.
And when you go to a city, if you can pull 20% of that audience in that city, you're doing good. But if you don't have this huge audience and you don't have a huge backing and so many ad dollars to get people to fill your concerts, like you're lucky to like break even and keep going, and then you've got to tour for 300 days a year, or you've got to do something pretty crazy where you can't have a family, you can't have a life, you
Yeah.
can't coach sports, all these things. It's like where do you have to like draw the line? We're drawing the line, the fact that like we'll do some things, we'll try to do some festivals, we'll try to do some things throughout the year, but getting a show and then getting people to stop their busy lives that and build a fan base and get these people to stop their lives and come to see you on a Thursday night. We have a gig on Thursday as well at the Charleston Poorhouse. It's a great venue, great sound, all those things that you'd want in a venue. But it was a job to get that. It was a full-time job of reaching out and prospecting and trying to get responses to even book that. It is not easy to be a full band and have performances that pay, and then you got to pay back your label. And if
Yeah.
you're not fruitful and you're not like streaming doesn't bring in all the money for artists. Artists don't make up their money from streaming. Artists make their money from touring
Yep.
and from selling things and doing all that kind of stuff. And so we're grateful we get to do it right now, but we're trying to figure out how to pioneer it to where we can continue to do it, but not also sacrifice our children and our families and our lives just so that we can continue to make music and have consumers tell us what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. So the biggest thing we could ask for from people who love music and want to see newer bands survive and thrive or support them is, go to their website and buy their merch.
A
Where
t-shirt is huge. Just buy a t-shirt, or if the band is selling their own music on their website through CDs or an album or something like that, just buy it. Put down the $25 or the $30 for the music, for a t-shirt, something like that. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Josh, but you're talking business here, and it's so important because most of the casual fans themselves, they have no idea. They see the word music and forget the word business. And that second word business is so important, and that's actually what it is. They might be seeing something, listening to something they enjoy, but there's a business aspect to that. And the artist that is recording that music or performing that music live, yes, you're doing it because you enjoy it. And fortunately for you, for you and for Galebird, you're in a position where you don't have to make a living off of this. But you don't want to have to do it for free either. You like to bring in a few bucks. That's the business side of it, because you want to make enough to where it, like Sean and I were talking earlier. I've got this Black Rifle coffee sitting on the table here. Yes, it's product placement. I'm hoping to get them as a sponsor soon. Not because I need to make all kinds of money. No, I just want it to pay. I want it to pay for this podcast every month. That's kind of, I would be happy with that. because I hemorrhage money from this. I do this it's not for free, people. It's free to you, but I hemorrhage money doing this, and that's okay. That's me. I don't need to, I don't need anybody to feel sorry for me. I do it because I love it. So, but the business side of that is so very important for people to understand, and to your audience, to my audience. Look, if you enjoy, whether it's Galebird or anyone else, get on their website, buy a t-shirt, if you can go to a show, if you're, local to where they're playing, you can go to a show, I'm sure you guys are playing like clubs, 200-300 people, and so in those venues, and I love to see club shows because it's so much more intimate. And I've always said, like I was telling you a few weeks back when we talked on the phone, guys, I sit in front row at the church, when I go to a show, I want to be right up in front of the stage, so close that I scare the band, that kind of
the
thing.
spitting section.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting spit on, sweat on, everything else, but go out and support these acts. A club show is going to cost you, $30, maybe $40 or whatever, if you're getting hosed on the secondary charges on your ticket, that kind of thing. But it's all good stuff, man. And I love live music, and I for an act like you guys to be able to come out to the West Coast would be quite expensive, very, very expensive. And you guys might be forcing me to make a road trip or something. I don't know, but maybe I see that in the future sometime.
Yeah,
I love it, man. You guys are awesome. Can we do kind of some fun stuff before we get out of here? Is that cool?
Yeah,
sounds good.
All right. I don't do this a lot. I've done it a couple of times, and I don't know. It was kind of fun for me anyway. So, and it is my show. So, all right. I want to play like two quick games.
Okay.
The first one is this or that. Okay. And your answer isn't wrong. It's just whatever. So we'll start with you, Sean. Beatles or Stones?
Stones.
Okay. Excellent. Sean, Beatles or Stones?
Oh, Josh.
I said Sean. I'm sorry. Yeah, Josh. Beatles or Stones?
Beatles.
Okay. All right. And I like them both. I do. I enjoy them both, but I kind of like that dirty, punky aspect of the Stones a little bit more, So, all right. Sean, cheeseburger or pizza?
Ooh, cheeseburger.
Okay, Josh.
Burger all day.
There you go. See, no wrong answer because
that's right.
They're both so good. All right, Sean, cake or pie?
Ooh, cake. Not a big pie guy.
Josh,
I'm a pie guy. It's got ice cream though, right?
Hey, that's up to you. If you have some in the freezer, sure, throw it on there. Why
there
not?
We go.
All right. I think I know where you guys are going to go with this one. Sean, beach or lake?
Lake. Oh, lake.
Okay.
All day.
Josh.
I loved looking at the beach, hanging out at the lake.
All right, Josh.
God, that's tough. Can't stand sand sometimes.
Yep.
No, it gets in your shorts and in your butt crack and everything. No, forget that.
I know. Gosh. So I have to go with the sound though. I'm going beach.
Okay. All right. And I like them both, but I was never a surfer, even though I'm born and raised here in Southern California. Never a surfer. But no, I enjoy the lake. Give me the lake all day long because I love water skiing and kneeboarding, So I'm good with that. And I bet you have some beautiful lakes in South Carolina.
We do. North and South Carolina, we've got some large lakes and all the fun.
Awesome. Okay. Last one on this or that. Day or night?
Day.
I'm a night owl.
That's why you guys work so well, because
we complement each other. Yeah.
Everything was the opposite.
I get too distracted during the day. I got a million messages coming in. I got everybody wanting something. At night, nobody bothers me. So yeah.
At night I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's it.
That's me. That's
Yeah.
me. I'm a. I don't know if I told you guys. Like I'm a delivery driver for Cisco Food Service, so I'm sure you see our trucks around the South
Mhm.
We used to
Carolina
buy from
area.
you. Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, I'm starting at dark 30. Monday through Friday. So yeah, no, I'm asleep. I'm asleep early.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I enjoy that. That's for sure. Because when I start work, you guys are you might be just getting to bed, Josh, but Sean, you're in your REM
I'm
sleep.
getting ready.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
Ben, I'll
Time for
make you
this.
laugh. I'll make you laugh. If growing up with a family wasn't already difficult, operating a restaurant together as a family,
toughest
uh,
business.
the
Toughest
toughest
business.
business in the world, and
Yep.
that was the icing on the cake that kind of pulled the family apart at that point. And But the Cisco food truck, man, when it was on time, you were like, thank God we were out of so many things, and here they are, and it's just and then the roads you guys have to fit down, and how you gotta,
Yeah.
it just that God bless you, because that is a job in itself of figuring out where do I leave the truck, and it's got all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome.
Gosh, I wish I got that sort of welcome whenever I would pull up to make a delivery to my customers. People would come running out, oh, Cisco, you're here. So good to see you. No, it just doesn't happen. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's that it's because I'm here in California, and most folks here in California have that welcoming mentality.
It's
It's
happening internally for them, I think.
oh,
Just assume that.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with your thought on that, Sean. All right. So next one, real quick. I was told that I never watched The Office. I was told that this like game came from The Office. The island questions. I had no idea. I've never seen The Office. All right. But I just threw some together. So you guys are going to go live on a deserted island by yourself the remainder of your days. All right. But you're going to be afforded certain amenities, whatever it is that you like. So we'll start with you again, Sean. What kind of food are you taking to that island?
Just straight cookie dough. That's all I want.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Just
You're not
run with
worried.
it. I love
Hey,
some cookie dough.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
All right. All right. I love that. I got a sweet tooth like nobody's business. I have the I have the palate of like a 12-year-old. Okay.
Mhm.
You give me cheese pizza, give me a bowl of cereal.
Oh yeah.
I'm good to go. Give me cake, ice cream, pie, all that stuff. So I'm good to go. Josh, what
Yeah.
about you?
I mean, give me a spice rack, number one, because I can make anything taste good with the right spices. But number two, if you're going to give me one thing, it's one item, it's going to be Snyder's honey mustard pretzel pieces.
Oh, they're so good.
So good.
You know who else does a good job with that?
Who?
This is and unfortunately they're not a sponsor, but you never know. Dots. They have
Dots. I've
those
come to I've come to appreciate the twists from Dots. Yep,
yes.
they got a garlic one and
Yep.
something else. Yeah.
The garlic parm is good. I just bought a bag at the grocery store last night. I
Yep.
got cinnamon sugar in my pantry. I just downed a bag of them this week for the honey mustard ones.
Yep.
Good stuff. Yeah, good
It's
stuff.
great.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, now we're
Foodie.
talking food here.
Yeah.
All right. Sean, what candy bar are you taking?
I
You got your
love.
cookie dough, so you got to
I got my
come up
cookie dough. York peppermint patties, my favorite candy.
Oh,
I love it.
okay. All right. What about you, Josh?
Have to go almond joy.
Almond Joy. You can share half and still have a whole.
That's it.
Isn't that great?
That's it.
That was the ad.
That was a
campaign
commercial.
back
Yeah, exactly.
back in the 70s. Okay, when I was a kid. All right. What book are you taking, Sean?
Ooh, let's go with. I'm reading one by Dallas Willard called The Divine Conspiracy and loving it. So I'm gonna finish that book on my island.
Okay. And Josh.
There's a book I read all the time. The cover says Holly by Holly Bibble.
I was gonna say
yeah. No, man should not live on bread alone. I'll never get tired of reading the Word of God, and I need more of it in my life all the time. And so I would going to a deserted island and not having any responsibilities and having the word of God sounds wonderful to me right now. So it's like a cry for help.
No, it sounds good to me. You know,
right?
When I was in high school, I would, you know, I'd read my Bible every night. I'd read, you know, maybe one chapter of a book or whatever, and read it every night, say my prayers. And I had no clue what I was reading. One, because I'm a teenager, and I had no, uh, we weren't a family, church going family. And then two, I'm reading the King James version and not the new King James version. So
right.
yeah, no. Whew. Anyway, but yeah, so I need to make up for a lot of lost time on all that stuff, and I'll take I'd take that one with me too, so I could catch up.
There you go.
All right, one CD or album if you're of my age. You take vinyl.
Nickel Creek. When the fire die? Who let the fire die?
Okay.
That album, I think, was the first one that got me thinking critically about lyrics and has inspired me ever since.
Okay.
Love it.
Great. Josh.
Golly.
I've had a lot of time and years to already have my answers down.
Man, I don't know. Coheed and Cambria. What was is it Favor House Atlantic was the title of it was it Starship gosh.
Isn't that some really heavy stuff?
It is.
Okay, that just came out
good though.
I'm trying to
like some hardcore metal there, right?
It is. Well, I mean that was a certain time in my life, but those records yeah, I think it was a Favor House Atlantic. The whole record tells a story. And you know, the two albums after that too, but they tell a story. And the lyrics are pretty, when you get into them, they make so much sense. Without them, they're just like, what in the heck is this guy singing about? So it's pretty unique. That was the first time that had happened in my life of like, this guy's actually telling like an entire story throughout the entire album, in some sci-fi type way, which is just incredible.
Okay. Well, and for me, like I would take, I kind of cheat on this one because I would take Journey Time 3, which is a box set. It's got 3 CDs in it. So.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the one that I always go to. That's my go-to there. One movie.
Hook.
Dumb and Dumber.
You know, I used to say Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but and that's just that. I mean, come on, that's a
There's
a
no
great
birthday
one.
party in here.
Yeah, that's right. There's no birthday party for me here. So, but I've kind of turned, and I just love that movie. But you know what? Give me some Tombstone all day, every day.
Wow.
And I'll take that one.
Yeah,
that's such a fabulous movie. All right, one person, dead or alive, cannot be your spouse for conversational purposes only.
Ooh.
You should say can't be Jesus, your spouse, or yourself.
Well, I mean, come on. Jesus is not. I mean, in that sense, he's not your spouse. So,
right.
if you
what I mean,
I'm
like, is that you can't choose him. You know, you get him for eternity. So, all
right. I'm gonna say George Benson. I always loved him. He was playing, and he could sing me to sleep. It's perfect.
Wow.
I'll take George Benson.
I like that. And after Josh gives his answer, I'm coming back to you on George Benson. All right, go ahead, Josh.
God. Maybe going along with Hook, since I'm thinking about Hook, is Robin Williams.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I would
know,
never not be entertained.
Yeah, definitely. And not to try to one up either of you. I've always said my dad, but the reason why there's a good reason though. See, my dad would have been 102 years old this year, okay, if he was still alive. And he passed away at 75 years old. And I didn't see him for the last 9 years of his life. Didn't see him, didn't hear from him. And he was a World War II veteran, fought on the destroyer in the Pacific. So, which he never talked about when we were growing up, other than the fact that he had a anchor tattoo like Popeye on his forearm, and we knew he was in the Navy, and we knew kind of what he did. He didn't share any of that stuff. So, there's just so many stories I'd like to get out of him, so much stuff, and so that's why I always kind of go to that.
Yeah, my wife's grandpa was in World War II. He was in a prisoner of war camp, and it was the same thing. They would try so hard to document any little snippet they could find when he would finally talk about it. Yeah,
yeah. And I love our veterans. You know, I celebrated our veterans last year for Veterans Day. I'm working on a couple of things for this year. I'm hoping they come through. You know, and I want to get them in studio because I love it. I love it, and I love our veterans, and God bless our veterans, our current serving military personnel, our police, fire, first responders, everybody. God bless all of them. So, all right. So you mentioned George Benson, Sean.
Love him.
Now I don't go deep into George Benson. I know, you know, the hits, but a great voice, and he's known for being just a fabulous jazz guitarist. But did you know that one of my favorite bands actually worked with, besides a million other artists, worked with George in studio, and one of his hits was written by David Paich of Toto.
No, I did not know
Toto
that.
worked with George Benson.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the song now. It's I have these playlists. I listen to a lot of Sirius XM, and when I'm not listening to my conservative talk and stuff, I'm listening to the Big 40 countdown on Channel 8, you know, and when it's a great one, I like write them all down, and then I make a playlist and put it in my iTunes account. And I was just listening to one. I don't even remember what year it was. It might have been late 83 or something like that. And a song from George was on, and just so good. And what an incredible talent.
I had the privilege of seeing him a couple of years ago with the local orchestra. Oh man, that was just such a show. I love his ability, his writing, everything.
See, it's just like we were talking earlier. So when music is so good, and it just like it hits you right there, and it just gives you a tremendous feeling. It doesn't matter what the genre is. It doesn't matter if it's. I mean, my wife teases me all the time because because we're in church on Sunday, and just that worship song, and I'm just sobbing like crazy. And she's like looking at me, "Are you crying?" You know, it's just one of those things, you know, just to get you.
Music is special. So absolutely.
It is. It's so, it is incredibly special. I feel like ever since a very, very young age, probably 7, 8 years old, I've had this incredible relationship with music, just a special relationship. And what's a shame is that now 60 years old, I still consider myself an athlete. I was an athlete growing up, and you know, I thought I was going to play third base for the Dodgers when the time came, and it didn't happen. But nonetheless, I've always been an athlete. And there's a thing like athletes want to be musicians, and musicians want to be athletes. And it didn't work out for me either way. I have you guys are I don't care if you're playing a show or not. You guys are going to have to come out here and bring Melissa.
We need to. Yeah.
Well, I first off, I want the trio because I want you guys to perform in my living room, because I do have an acoustic guitar hanging in my attic that I can't play a note on. I've had my share of guitars over my life wanting to play them, and they sit around for a while, and then I just get rid of them. And I have a broken down bass in the attic as well. I need to get it fixed too. But you guys can come. I'll supply the instruments, and you guys can come and put on a little ditty in the living room here. But yeah, I know that for you, Josh, you'll pick up any instrument wherever it might be and go to town. So
yeah, both of us, we have a hard time, not picking up an instrument and trying to play a song.
That's tremendous. I have so much admiration for any person who can play an instrument, and then you get even more if you play multiple instruments, because because it's something I've always wanted to do and I can't do it. And the love that I have for music, I watch people playing, and it's like I'm in awe, and I'm fascinated by it. And like I said, I just have so much admiration for it.
I think with time in the truck, what I would do if I were you is I'd go on Amazon and I'd buy some what's the brand, Sean, that I like? There's a brand of harmonica.
The Koner?
Either Koner, and there's one other. And get one in each key, and then figure out when this radio comes on or your favorite song, as long as you're in the same key, it's not going to sound terrible. But then learn how to control your mouth to where it's blowing through one hole or three holes. And breathing in and breathing out. And you literally, if you have that much time in the truck every day, you should be able to master harmonica in a couple of weeks.
It's a good idea.
So, yeah.
And then I can join the band, right? Look, I can keep rhythm. I can keep time, give me a tambourine.
Right,
I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can be like the, fifth Beatle or whatever. No, I'll be the fourth or fifth Gale bird. How's that?
There you go. That's it. That's it. Yeah. When we do play a show, though, we've got,
I think we got 7.
You got a full on band,
7 or 8 usually, and
yeah,
and so it's a show. So yeah.
Are you guys all fighting for room on the stage there, or what?
It might be a little cozy, but we're good friends.
Right on. That's great, man. So, all right. Tell everybody where they can find your music, how they can follow you. Let's get all your socials and all that good stuff out of the way. Let's get it done.
Yeah. If it's going, the quickest way to get to everything is galebird.com, GALEBIRD.com. If you're looking and just going straight to Amazon Music, iTunes, Spotify, it's GALE space bird, like the bird that flies in the sky. If you're on social media, it's at Galebird Music. We hope you can get over there, stream the music, and buy some merch. Let's try to keep this thing rolling so that we can reach as many people as possible and impact marriages and expand the kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. Spreading the word. That's what it's all about. Yeah, folks, look, just buy some, let me, before I go on with that, do you have physical music on your website, or is it just the streaming stuff right now?
Just the streaming stuff.
Okay. So you can't buy the music on their website, but go buy a t-shirt. How's that? All right.
That's it.
Go buy a t-shirt. And if you are in the Charleston, South Carolina area, or anywhere else in South Carolina, and you can make it to a show, make it to a show. But check out the music of Gale Bird. It's really good stuff. And if you are a country music fan and you like that good down-home country music, you like that sound, you are going to enjoy Gale Bird, and you are going to enjoy some good lyrical content. And to what Josh was saying, it's going to help you think a little bit differently in your marriage, in your relationship, in your walk, your Christian walk. And yeah, it'll pump you up. So it's all good stuff. Stick with me for a minute, guys, while I close out. Okay.
Yep.
So don't go anywhere. That's a wrap, folks. We're done here. Can't thank you enough for being here. As you know, this program is available wherever you stream your podcast. Just go to whatever service it is you're using, search the Ben Maynard program. Boom, it's right there. go with it. Subscribe to it, download it, give me a 5-star rating because I deserve it. These guys deserve it too. These guys deserve 10 stars. But if you've enjoyed this because you can't resist this and maybe a little bit of that over there and that right there, then you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for doing it. Thanks for spending some time with us. But you have to subscribe to the channel. All right. You got to subscribe to the channel. You got to give me a thumbs up and you got to leave a comment. I've replied to all your comments. You guys know that. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or you can follow me on the TikTok. And yes, I say the TikTok on purpose, people. It's not because I'm 60 and I'm an old guy. But follow me on TikTok, the Ben Maynard Program. So there you go. That's it. We're done. Again, thanks for being here. You guys are great. And I will check you guys next time. This is the Ben Maynard Program. Tell a friend.